First off, I'm a female and this happened to me when I was 16. One random fall day, I was at home like usual, when I had a craving for some White Castle. I had some allowance money, so I thought I'd head over. I didn't have any permit or car yet, so walking was my only option. I didn't mind, as I actually enjoy walking. The White Castle was close, maybe about 10, 12 blocks, so off I went. I got my burgers, ate there, and even ordered a milkshake before I left for my walk home. I had just walked out the door and started my little journey back home when I saw him. A man on the same side of the street as me, walking in my direction. He had tan skin, looked like he was in his late 20s, early 30s, and had a creepy ear-to-ear smile that wouldn't go away. As we got closer to each other, we locked eyes, and I instantly had a bad feeling. I was about to walk past him when he looked at me and said hello. Me, not being rude, said a quick hi back, hoping that would be the end of that. Well, was I wrong? He got right in front of me, asking what I was doing. By the way he talked, I can tell English wasn't his first language. Something about this guy was just creepy and off. Like he just wasn't all there. I looked at him, confused by his question, and said, nothing? Going home, and proceeded to walk around him to continue on my merry way. You come to my house? He asked, a smile never leaving his face as he looked forward to me giving him a yes. I couldn't believe that he straight up invited me to his place. I had a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. No, I'm going home, I said, once again, hoping that would be the end of the encounter with this guy. Okay, we go, he said, and proceeded to walk with me. I mean, he walked right next to me. I didn't know what to say or think. I kept on walking, and he kept on smiling that creepy smile. He kept on inviting me to his house, and whenever I told him no, he would just continue on walking with me. Did this guy really think he was just going to walk into my house, all willy-nilly? I mean, I was clearly a kid. Wasn't he thinking about me having parents that wouldn't exactly approve of him following me? Honestly, I was terrified. Sir, please stop following me, I said in a very shaky, unintimidating tone. Fell on deaf ears. At one point, he tried to walk arm in arm with me. Immediately, I pulled my arm away. This guy did not know the concept of personal space. I must have repeated, please stop following me, a million times, all the while ignoring me, and non-stop smiling and staring at me. I know now I should have gotten someone's attention, or called the police or something. But I was just a kid and never really had an experience with a creepy guy before. I was too scared to do anything. I was on the verge of tears and I was starting to tremble from fear. It was a sunny afternoon, and we were walking along a main road, so I knew this guy wasn't just going to grab me and run, or attack me. We were walking in the general direction of my house, but I knew I couldn't go directly home. I absolutely did not want this guy to know where I lived. I thought of a plan. On the way to my house, there was a pizzeria that I knew cops hung out at for a bite to eat. It was about 2 blocks away. I figured if this guy kept walking with me, I would just go inside the pizzeria and get the cops on his ass. I prayed that this wouldn't be the one time that cops weren't there. We kept on going. Still inviting me to his house, still smiling and staring. Me still holding back tears and trying to keep my fear from showing. We were about 1.5 blocks away when he guided me to a wall, kinda keeping me from walking any further. He leaned in close to my ear and whispered, "What the fuck?" I had absolutely reached my breaking point. Without thinking or fearing what might happen to me, I swung my arm and punched him. I'd like to say that I had a majorly badass moment knocking this guy out, causing a black eye, breaking his nose or something, but none of that happened. Honestly, I hit him on the side of the head with very little force. But the surprise of someone suddenly throwing a punch at you was enough to knock him back a few steps. He really did not expect me to do anything. I gave him a "don't fuck with me, leave me alone" death stare straight in his eyes. I wasn't kidding around anymore. One thing about me is that even when I'm scared, I'm still strangely brave. I was prepared to take on this asshole, even if he was a little bigger than me. I wanted to seriously fuck this guy up. He put his hands up in a surrender motion, still with that fucking smile, and said, okay, and started to walk away from me across the street. I felt a sense of relief. Partly that this guy finally decided to leave me be and that I wasn't attacked by him. It was broad daylight in public, so he clearly didn't care about his surroundings. I continued my walk, constantly looking over my shoulder to make sure this creep wasn't still following me. I came across the pizzeria, and wouldn't you know it, 2 patrol cars parked right outside, with the 2 policemen sitting inside eating their lunch. I turned around and the guy was nowhere to be seen. I should have went inside and told them everything. How the man followed me, asked me to come to his house, and then asked me for sex. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe I was still afraid. Part of me just wanted to go home and never see that guy again. I made it home, with the entire walk looking over my shoulders. Thankfully, he did truly leave me alone. I never told my mom because I was afraid I would never be allowed out again. To this day, she still doesn't know about this experience. I told my current boyfriend this story, and he was proud that I took a stand to this guy. Never did see him again. I hope he didn't do this to another girl, or actually got a girl to his house. I'm 24 now, and if something like this happens to me again, I will definitely handle it better than my 16-year-old self. So to the guy who attempted to have sex with a 16-year-old girl, I took kickboxing classes. So if we ever meet again, I'll make sure my fists land on that eerily creepy smile of yours. I'm 17, standing around 6 feet, 150 pounds. I'm pretty tall in my town, but some kids tower over me. I used to play football and other sports throughout my life, and always stay active. I live in between one of the worst cities to live in New Jersey, and one of the best cities to live in. With that being said, a lot of good and bad people cross over into my town. It was a hot summer's night, perfect for a little joint walk. I was with 3 of my friends, around 10 o'clock, smoking weed on the old train tracks that run through my town. If you keep walking on the tracks, you will start to walk into the good town that's next to me. The tracks are littered with trash and everything. One spot along the tracks there is a homeless guy that built a few makeshift houses for him and his friends. Pretty cool. We just smoked 3 joints and started walking into the good town, past under this bridge. My friend Gio pointed to the middle of the street, as a guy was standing on the other side of the street looking at us, wearing all black with a hoodie on. Dark enough, where I can't see his face, and was way taller than me. He was maybe a good 10 yards away from us. That rang an alarm off in my head, as I'd never seen something like this in my town or the other towns. I'm cautious, and stay on my P's and Q's. I turned to my friends and told them, "Yo, let's walk back, fast." We stopped walking, and stood almost parallel with him, same distance. We turned around and started to walk back toward the bridge. In my peripheral vision, I saw him briskly walking towards us. I was leading the group and started walking faster. Everyone noticed and sped up with me. I heard loud footsteps and started running. Everyone started running with me. We are getting near the bridge and nearly lose him, since everyone is athletic. We get to the bridge underpass and I almost passed out. I stopped dead in my tracks, I shit you not. The same way we walked was now blocked by what seemed like a person's massive collection of bottles she had found on these tracks and laid them all out for us to see. I thought to myself, this shit's not real, it can't be. How the hell could someone put all these bottles out in less than 3 to 5 minutes? I turned around and saw the guy now running, fucking fully naked, towards us. We kicked it in high gear and all went home without saying a word to each other. We've smoked on these tracks multiple times in the past and never encountered something like this. I have no clue what drugs he was on, but I don't want to be on his level. Let's not meet again. So, this story isn't something that personally happened to me since I was a baby at the time, but my family have told me this countless times. So basically, my grandma's mother passed. My grandma, auntie, and brother, who was about 4 or 5 at the time, so roughly 13 to 14 years ago. My brother is now 19. I'm not sure if I was with them at this time or not. But what happened was they went to a cemetery to leave some flowers for my great-grandma, and they told me it was throwing it down with rain, so they were rushing back to the car, and my auntie noticed my brother was eating something, and asked what he was eating since they hadn't given him anything, and he opened his palm to reveal some dolly mixtures. Before you think, oh, I bet it was some creepy old man or whatever, I don't believe so. This is because my great-grandma always used to eat dolly mixtures, and they believe it was her who gave my brother them. Not only that, my auntie had told me there was no one else around at the time but them, and my brother was most definitely not out of their sight. And why would someone just randomly give my brother some sweets when it's pouring down with rain? Or why would someone leave sweets around? They would have been wet and dirty, most likely, and I don't think he would have picked them up. I don't know if my brother found them or if my great-grandma really did give them him, but I think she did. To add to this story, a few years later, I think I was 8 or 9 at the time, my auntie, who was now married to my uncle, were going through some trouble with money and general problems, and it was a hard time for them back then. But I was oblivious to this at the time since I was young. She had opened the cupboard in the kitchen, and sitting on one of the shelves were a few dolly mixtures. She questioned my uncle on if he put them there, but they both seemed bewildered because apparently neither of them put them there. My auntie believed it was her grandma, leaving her a sign that everything was going to be fine, and that's exactly what happened. My auntie and uncle still keep the dolly mixtures in the cupboard to this very day. I'm 16 now, so it's quite a few years ago, but it's the only sort of paranormal story my family have told me, and it does leave me questioning the paranormal, and if it really was my great-grandma who gave my brother those dolly mixtures and left my auntie them. What do you think? Hey everyone, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to True Scary Subscriber Stories, Episode 5. Now, is it just me, or is anyone else craving dolly mixtures after that story at the cemetery? Sugary goodness. Yeah. Right, for the moment, that does it for subscriber stories. I've cleared all the ones I had out. Some really good ones this episode. Not that they aren't all good, it's just, dolly mixtures, naked guys chasing after you, hamburgers, good stuff all round. I'm suddenly struck with the image of a naked man with a bag of dolly mixtures in one hand, a hamburger in the other, chasing after me and screaming, "Oh dear, I will not be sleeping tonight." Anyway, until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.